so many new faces, the things that we're really doing for this community. I know sometimes people are like, we're not from Pierce County, but how do we help? But ultimately, all of us coming together makes it to where Washington can be the best possibly, and we just set the tone for the nation. That is my plan. That's his team's plan. And so I love that you guys are a part of this team. Today, we have some great speakers coming on from two amazing organizations that are really just going to fill us in on what's going on, what they're finding is points that we can possibly connect with, help them with, fill in the gaps, however it looks. In this group, please understand that we are a bunch of stars. Everybody in this room is a star. I always say we're the new Motown. That's what we are. I mean, we got a bunch of stars, but hey, when you want to make that hit, come back home, please network, ask for help. Don't be afraid because you're not doing this on your own. You're doing this in one group, a safe group, an inclusive group. So with that being said, again, thank you guys for being here. It's going to be an amazing day. I hope you guys enjoy. And starting with our first speaker is a good friend of mine from the city of Tacoma and her team, Raeshawna Ware, and they've really just been trying to figure out what internship truly looks like throughout this community. And I'm really excited to see what they've done. We've been in touch with them all week, and they have something special for you guys. So please listen up, pay attention, and let's get some things happening out here.
Thank you, Tamar, and thank you to Workforce Central for having this task force for us to come and engage as community leaders. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to present. Hello, everyone. I'm Raeshawna Ware. I work for the City of Tacoma in Environmental Services Department in Science and Engineering. And I'm actually an engineering technician, but for the last 2 years, I've been working alongside some pretty heavy hitters, and some are here today, to work on an internship program for the city. I know that there is a lot to cover when you work on projects. And so what I'm going to try to do is to give you some highlights of what's going on within our project, what we found, what our commitment and strategy is going forward. And then hopefully that would be tantalizing enough for you to join us at the 11 o'clock feedback session. And we can go to the next slide. So why we are here today, one of the things that we recognized is that we have a disproportionate representation of post-secondary interns from our Black and Native American, Pacific Islander, Hispanic, and Latinx communities within our internship program. And I want to clarify one thing. We focused on post-secondary interns. I know that there are a lot of different ways that people use that term intern. And for our purposes in our project, we focused on where we had the most data, which was post-secondary paid interns. That excludes those that are considered apprentice and those that are considered job shadows or volunteers, and specifically those that are enrolled in a college program or university program or a technical vocational school. So what we found is over the last 3 years, the city had a disproportionate amount of our resources go into 2 different demographics, which I'll show you on the next slide. We noticed that our white and our Asian populations were overrepresented in our internship program, and that in large, our other communities were not represented. And we acknowledge the disparate impacts of systemic racism and our role in contributing to it and changing it. And I just want to say one thing as a caveat to what our role has been as a city and how we have contributed to systemic racism and how we're going to dismantle that in our practices and processes. And that is when you don't have a system that is designed towards anti-racist outcomes, the default is the reproduction of racism. And so every one of our departments was doing their best job at providing internship opportunities, but there was no one centralized person looking at our outcomes up until recently in the way that we've done it. So our role is that we know that we have to create a system by design and remove the default functions that some of us have in our processes and things that we do. So we are looking to change the way we recruit, the way we interview, the way we hire and retain interns. And this is critical because we know that a lot of these opportunities are feeder opportunities into full-time city employment, and we want to get this right. So if we can go on to the next slide. Do you all see that in front of you, our findings? Okay. All right. So the city of Tacoma, this is a spread of data that we requested the city pull for us. When our team was formulating, we decided that we didn't want to just look at representation in bodies, but we also wanted to look at representation as numbers of dollars that we have fiscally invested. That's what we're considering salary paid interns, is how the city fiscally invested in those interns and in those communities. So the information that you're seeing right now is this percentage of the city population, the percentage of interns that represented at the city in the last 3 years, and then also the amount of money that was paid out in salary towards interns. And as you can see, this is glaring, and it was glaring for us that the city spent about $1.2 million in salary paid to interns from January 1, 2017 to July 2019. And about 93% of that money was directed towards those that identified as white or Caucasian and those that identified as Asian. Now, one specific thing I'd like to draw out is that this information is based off the 2010 data, or 2010 census data. That is the way we collected their information and people's information at the time that at the time of hire. And so this is the data we have to work with today. We did pull the ACS 2019 data, but we recognize because there are new classifications, new identifiers that you can self-identify and self-select that were not available in 2010, and the way that we had it set up in our system, we are not able to easily translate our data to the ACS classifications or ethnicities and races. So Asian, although we have Asian as Pacific Islander and we have that kind of broken up on the screen, that does not necessarily mean that Pacific Islanders were represented at the same rate as other Asian communities. So just to draw that distinction, we also recognize that the Latinx and Hispanic community have a higher representation in population at this time based on the 2019 ACS data, but this is only reflective of 2010. So we apologize that we're not able to accurately reflect the percentage of the population that our Hispanic and Latinx community does represent at this time. But we thought it was important to make those two distinctions about the data so that you understand how we were classifying it and why these titles were this way. But we recognize that this data does not reflect where the city wants to go. And there's been a resolution 40622 that City Council passed acknowledging the disparate impacts of systemic racism. And it also affirms the city's commitment to anti-racist system transformation through that same resolution. And so we've used this data a couple years, or last year, as a good solid starting point to measure our success as we go forward, and to also remind us of how far we have to go. And it is the basis of how we are going to redesign our internship program. And we're going to be looking now at pay and also representation of pay. There's a lot in that, so we're here in the space to answer questions, but thank you for being patient as we talk about the high level things. Our strategy forward in the next slide. So there were a few things that we had to look at in trying to make a fair and equitable hiring process. Our work is really focused on how we get people in the door that reflect the community that we serve and provide them a meaningful, a complementary experience to their educational pursuits. So a few of the things that we had to look at, one is our hiring process. And we took a high level look at the process and found ways to look at the hiring process itself and evaluate it against materials we're given to use, manuals we're given to use, and see if there was any places or places in the process that needed either policy language around it, that needed a process built into it, or that needed just a different way of looking at it, a different mindset approach to looking at this, a similar, or looking at something. For example, we were talking about, and I'm skipping down just a little bit, we were talking about what is actually an intern. We're thinking about redefining certain qualifications and looking at competency requirements. Right now, interns are very, very closely linked with entry-level positions, and there's little distinction between their bodies of work and little distinction between how they are hired and how they are evaluated for these positions. And so what we want to look at is how are we scripting these qualifications and competency requirements such that whoever could benefit the most from this educational opportunity gets the opportunity. So we're looking at doing things like that and taking it from a culture and process mindset, and then also to a policy lens. One of the things that we're deciding to do is to create equity checkpoints within our HR hiring process for interns to find ways to impute equity. One of the things we heard from our internal partners is that we don't want it to be cumbersome, because if it's cumbersome, we're not going to be able to do it. And one of the things that we responded with in developing this is how do we embed equity such that not every person has to be an expert in order to have compliance with accountability measures. And so that's one of the ways we've looked at beefing up the processes in our hiring. Another thing that we wanted to look at, which is why we're so glad we're here today and going to be here with you at 11, is how do we define diversity? How do we define diversity for outreach? How do we define diversity for applicant pools and what that should look like? And how do we define diversity for hiring panels? We have this blanket word that we've used in so many different forms, but there really is no concrete definition or no framework approach of how we should use that citywide for our internship program. So we would like you to give us feedback on what you think and how you think we should be scripting some of these deliverables. And one of the other ways that we're looking at imputing some equity is finding ways to change our hiring panels. Because a lot of times what happens is one singular person makes a final decision on who gets hired and who gets the opportunity. And we want to see, this is just a proposal of something we haven't tried yet, but we were looking to go towards having shared responsibility in hiring decisions. And we're really excited about that because we think it aligns with some other strategies that may be ideas in some others' minds from around the city also. And finally, we're looking to require a competitive process for all interns. A lot of interns were able to be hired without going through the HR process, and that's something that we want to reverse. And then make sure that every intern is evaluated and criteria is documented. That is a lot. And I appreciate you allowing me to get through that. And last slide. So what are we asking of you? One of the things we're asking of you is that you would join us right after this at 11 o'clock, 11 to 12:30. We leave 30 minutes at the end for a Q&A, but we're going to have a facilitated discussion. We're going to have opportunities for you to share what you think the ideal culture should be, what you think about diversity, what you think should be accountability measures. And we really want to hear your voice speaking to these specific issues. And don't worry if you can't attend that. We will have an opportunity for you to engage with us. We will send out a complete questionnaire. We'll ask you to complete a questionnaire in about a week or so. And it'll be an opportunity for you to provide open-ended feedback to us. And then also there's a third option that the city is still working to kind of define, but we're thinking about asking a group of external partners to review certain deliverables that we're going to be creating. For example, when we talk about a diverse outreach, once we hear from you all about what you all consider diversity, and we've done some more of our heavy researching and our heavy creating, what we want to come up with is perhaps an outreach plan, a diverse outreach plan that we want to institute. Well, we want to be able to bring that back to you and say, what do you all think about this? What we've created? How does this work? How does this feel? And for you to provide your feedback on that. So if you're interested in being a part of someone that would be able to review certain deliverables, feel free to reach out to us. I believe the slide deck is going out and has all of our contact information in it. And the last few slides, if you can go ahead and go to the external partners. So again, these are all the people that were on our subcommittee from our larger team. And a few of these individuals were not necessarily in our team, but served and helped us flesh out a few ideas we have for you today. And that is Kenny Colboy from the City Manager's Office and Nick Bayard, who is here today, and he is the Assistant Director for the Office of Equity and Human Rights. And the final slide is our internship improvement team. This is the landscape of our internship improvement team. Kathy Journey, who I believe is here with us today, has really championed this effort in HR and has been our liaison to our human resources department, and has been a really big proponent of getting this internship program up and going. Jacqueline Fuller, also from Environmental Services, where I work, Georgia Lewis in Human Resources as well. And then we have our sponsors who also will be with us at the beginning part of the 11 o'clock presentation. Lisa Woods from the City Manager's Office, Gary Buchanan, the Human Resources Director, Tanisha Jumper, the Media and Communications Director, and Jim Sant, the Deputy Utility Director. And then, of course, our improvement team, who without them, this effort would not have gotten this far and would not be as successful as it is to date. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for having me present. And I would like, if Nick Bayard, if you are available to chime in and give us some closing thoughts about how our program aligns with OEHR.
Yeah, thank you, Raeshawna. And I really just want to reiterate how important this work is for the city. It's work that we've been trying to approach in different ways for 5 or 6 years, but the work of this team has really brought life to it and brought it to the community in a new way. And your input in this process is going to be critical, because changing the way we do internships will change the demographics of the city workforce. Right now, the higher up in the organization you go, the whiter and more male it gets. And this is one of the key entry points for jobs. It's how you work, you get your start. And then the policy work that this team is doing is already informing citywide policy. So not only is this team getting great process for the internship program, but they're showing the city different ways to do things, which is going to have an even bigger impact. So Office of Equity and Human Rights really supports this work, and really hope you can make it 11. We're really grateful for all the team's work on it. Thanks.
Thanks, Tamar. Thanks, Workforce Central. Thank you all.
And thank you guys so much. That was just amazing. One thing to keep in mind as we move forward, it's not easy for an organization to come in with a bunch of other organizations on one phone call and show the wounds and show what they're going through to try to make this community better. So, I mean, hats off to the city of Tacoma, Nick Bayard, Raeshawna, you guys' team. It's amazing. I'm so happy that I get to work with you guys and trying to make this change in our community. You guys are definitely setting the standard, the flagship on trying to bring equity to everybody and not just one organization. So I appreciate you guys for that. Next coming up, actually another friend of mine. I found out because me and her husband are friends since we were teenagers. But we have Courtney Viducich, Chief Program Manager or Officer, and Katie Kaiser, the Manager for Family Services for the Child Resources. They're going to be discussing with us what's going on in COVID, how it's affected a lot of their families that they are serving. So please stay tuned, keep your questions ready. I'm fired up for this one as well. So Courtney, go ahead and take it over, and welcome to the team.
Thank you so much, Tamar, and it's good to see you. I told Chris I was gonna be chatting with you today, and so he said hello. Thank you for having us. Good morning. As Tamar mentioned, I'm Courtney Nolen-Viducich here with Childcare Resources. And Katie, I cannot see you, but I have my colleague Katie Kaiser as well joining me to share with you all what we've been doing here at Childcare Resources and how COVID has impacted the landscape of childcare with our childcare providers in Pierce and King counties, as well as our families. And so We've lovingly titled our presentation, The Childcare Crisis, a Task for Us All, because really what is happening with COVID and our childcare landscape has impacted everyone, businesses, families, childcare programs, our childcare providers trying to keep their businesses open. And so we'll just walk you through a little bit of who we are and what we do. And then I'll turn it over to Katie to share with you the impacts of COVID and what our ask is. So you can go ahead and change this slide. So I wanted to put what our mission is here to share this with you all if you're not familiar with our organization. So Childcare Resources improves all children's access to high quality early learning experiences by engaging with families, caregivers, and communities. Embedded in Childcare Resources' daily work is identifying and addressing racism so that all children thrive in their early learning environments. And this is a crucial piece to the work that we do within Childcare Resources because everything we do is through our mission. And if it does not align with our mission, especially that anti-racism piece within our mission, we are not hands-on with it. And so this is what we talk about. This is what we celebrate. We want to ensure all children have access, regardless of their circumstances, where they come from, what community they're in, but they have high quality access to high early learning environments, as well as supports for families within all of the communities that we serve. And so I wanted just to put that here, just to share that with you all, and just as a reminder, as I am going in to share with you all what we do here at Childcare Resources. So what do we do here? We do a lot. And in the last 8 months since COVID, we have done extra work here. So the first bullet here just outlines, we provide early learning information, childcare referrals, play and learn support groups, and financial assistance to families of all backgrounds, including families who are experiencing homelessness. And my colleague Katie on the phone can share more of that when she talks a little bit later on. But we have a statewide family call center. So if families are looking for childcare, they can call our 1-800 number and say, hey, my name is Courtney Nolen-Viducich. My zip code is 98498, and I'm looking for care for my preschooler. And I'm looking for a family childcare provider who's open 24 hours on the weekends. And we can run a search and find out who is in your zip code within a certain mile radius of what childcare programs are available. And we don't care who you are, where you come from. We just want to make sure that we are able to find and pair you with high quality early learning within your area. Our play and learn support groups, family, friend, and neighbor care. So we provide supports to those grandmas, grandpas, aunties, uncles who are caring for children, the neighbors across the street, especially right now during COVID, when families are not feeling comfortable taking their children to childcare programs. It's your grandma, aunties, and uncles that are caring for children. So we provide supports and financial supports for those types of family, friend, and neighbor care. The second bullet here, we provide training and one-to-one coaching for childcare providers as they integrate new research and best practices into their operations. And so within the scope of our work, we provide coaching services, training services, technical assistance services to over 2,500 licensed childcare providers within King and Pierce counties. Pre-COVID, it was only 1,600, but post-COVID, we realized that all of our childcare providers in the 2 counties that we serve need supports. And so we are on the front lines doing supply deliveries to them. We realized, when toilet paper and paper towels ran out, that was a big thing. And that was, dependent providers keeping their businesses open was dependent on trying to find bleach and hand sanitizer and toilet paper and paper towels. So we're out delivering to them. We're providing, emotional support for providers. We're offering business supports to providers who are looking to keep their businesses open. And so we have coaches deployed, remote working right now, supporting these childcare providers as we're navigating COVID, pre-COVID, post-COVID, but we want to ensure that they remain high quality programs in the best way that we can virtually. And so we have coaches assigned to these providers to ensure that we're continuing the work that we're doing, they're providing the best care that they can, and we're offering professional development opportunities for our providers while we're navigating this whole new post-COVID world. And the last bullet here, we advocate for families and providers we serve so the needs of the children in their care are recognized and prioritized. Sorry, this chat box just popped up and blocked my screen. My apologies. By early learning leaders in our state. So we have a really robust advocacy program here at Childcare Resources. Sarah Brady, who is our advocacy person, she's a standalone person, but her voice is mighty and it's heard. And if you haven't gotten to know her, please get to know her. She is kicking down doors to advocate for our families and our early learning providers. She's always, leading the way here at Childcare Resources, and not only providing advocacy supports internally, but externally, and understanding that it is important. It's like we have to have our voices heard. Our childcare providers and families need the supports. And so we'll do and go above and beyond what we can to help advocate and support our childcare providers and families, whether that's through additional funding for childcare providers, raising the rates for homeless subsidy, whatever the case may be. We are doing that here within our agency. And we take that work very seriously, and it goes back to our mission. We want all children to thrive. We want to provide access to all children and families. And so our advocacy efforts are truly focused on that. And you can go to the next one. And I'm going to pass it over to Katie.
Great. Good morning. Like Courtney said, my name is Katie Kaiser, and I manage our family services program. I think what I'm about to tell you, it will probably go as no surprise that the COVID-19 outbreak has had a massive impact on our childcare providers, who are largely small businesses, and our families with small children. We in the childcare industry, as you can see on this slide, in Pierce County, we saw 14% of all family childcare providers close, and 31% of centers, which includes school age sites. And in Tacoma, 15% of family childcare providers closed, and 37% of centers. Childcare providers are small businesses with really tight margins. And at the beginning of the COVID outbreak, we saw a sudden drop in enrollment as families were staying and working from home, or concerned about having their children in congregate care. Much higher costs of personal protective equipment and the supplies that Courtney was mentioning before: hand sanitizer, masks, gloves, toilet paper, everything that had increased in price as a result of the outbreak. They also had to have smaller class ratios to make sure that it was safe for the children and their employees. And then the fact that it's an aging workforce. And so a lot of our childcare providers are in that higher risk class of people more at risk of contracting COVID. And so for this reason, a lot of our childcare providers closed either permanently or temporarily at some point during the last 8 months. Childcare Resources, in response to that, in partnership with First 5 Fundamentals, Pierce County Human Services Department, and the City of Tacoma, we've distributed $1.2 million in CARES Act funding in relief grants to childcare providers so that they can continue to keep their doors open and offer that high quality care to the children and families in their care. The impact of COVID-19 on families with children, as I'm sure many of you have experienced yourselves, is can't overstate. You know, in the early days when the schools closed, our family call center, the Childcare Ware of Washington Family Center that helps families look for childcare, saw a huge increase in calls from families scrambling to find a safe place for their school-age children to be during the day. We also saw the impact of those childcares closing and families needing to quickly find alternative care for their children so they could continue going to work. They're also facing the increased costs that childcare providers are having to pass on to their families of those lower ratios, the higher cost of keeping their doors open. There's also been the changing policies of public childcare subsidy. They have, you know, our state system has tried to be responsive, but as a result has ended up, you know, having a lot of changes that families are having to absorb and understand and respond to in how they're going to be paying for their childcare. Then there's the uncertainty that families have faced in their own employment. We've had a lot of families have their hours significantly increased because they're essential workers and now they're looking for childcare in non-traditional hours. We've also seen a lot of people dealing with the uncertainty around unemployment insurance and whether or not they're able to stay home and watch their children, or if they need to get back to work and find a new childcare setting for their children. The other thing is, we mentioned family, friend, and neighbor care. A lot of families used older relatives to watch their children and suddenly felt unsafe exposing those older relatives to the potential of a COVID infection that they might bring. And so a lot of families who were using FFN care decided that they needed to find a licensed childcare provider that felt safer for their family. And so our response, Childcare Resources response to all of this, we were able to partner with Pierce County Human Services and the city of Tacoma to distribute $3.5 million in CARES Act funding in childcare subsidies. So supporting families with childcare costs who are essential workers or whose income, work hours, or access to childcare was negatively impacted by COVID. And we've so far served 783 children, the majority of whom are school-age children. So supporting families with that added cost of having to pay for their child to be somewhere safe during the day. And then, like I said, we've seen an uptick in callers from Pierce County looking for childcare solutions for their children. We can go to the next slide. Yes, and I'm happy to we're happy to give demographic data on the families that have contacted us and who've been most disproportionately impacted by this. So our ask of this community is to have childcare on your minds, first of all, and recognize that the families that are your employees or your colleagues, that this has been a massive impact to families who have young children. If you have it within your budget, or if you have it as something that you are able to consider going forward as a benefit for your employees, we encourage. The cost of childcare is only increasing as the childcare industry is responding to the impacts that they have had from COVID. And the cutoff for state childcare assistance is pretty relatively low when it comes to the cost of living in Pierce County. Just for example, for a family of two, if the parent makes $2,800 gross per month, they get no support from the state in paying for their childcare. And so that population of workers that are just above the cutoff for the state childcare subsidy is a group to consider providing financial support in paying for their childcare. Just in general, as you know, in your human resources department, or as you think about resources to share with employees, I will send out our flyer for our call center, but we're a great resource for your employees who need to be looking for childcare solutions for their families. I'll let Courtney answer the question that was in the box. But finally, if you're looking to provide additional support for your employees and perhaps financial support, direct financial support for their childcare is not an option, we have our family call center in the past has had partnerships with businesses where if your employees call and we have a relationship with your organization, we can offer vacancy checks. We can offer a little bit more hands-on support around helping them apply for public subsidies that they might be available or that they might be eligible for, or giving them a little bit more hands-on support than just a list of childcare providers, and really giving them an increased level of service around helping them find a childcare provider that works for their family. And I'll let Courtney answer the question from Kimberly about the supporting childcare providers closed due to COVID.
Thank you, Katie. And yeah, Kim's question is, do we have any idea if the Pierce County childcare providers that closed due to COVID have support in reopening? And it just depends on the reason of their closure. They, of course, have 100% support of childcare resources in reopening, whether that's through training support for their businesses, navigating waivers for licensing, because we have seen an uptick in providers needing an additional waiver to increase the capacity within their programs to be able to support families. You know, most of our providers who have closed, it's just a temporary close. I'm not sure of the percentage off the top of my head, but they've closed temporarily. And then we do have the other percentage of providers who have closed permanently. So it really just depends on what types of supports that they need. A lot of it is additional funding, and we are doing the best that we can to partner with, when people have money to give out to providers, we're willing to do it. As Katie mentioned, the grants that we had for providers, $1.2 million for providers in Pierce and Tacoma, the subsidies for families. In King County, we're doing something very similar. We have grants through King County. We have grants with the city of Seattle that we're giving out to providers. So it's really, you know, providers, what's happening is due to COVID, a lot of our childcare providers are losing families, which is their income, right? And so if we can't keep their capacity full to the point to where they can make their rent or mortgage or pay their bills, they're having to close, because we can't just, you know, families are not coming to childcare as they were. And so we're doing the best that we can to market programs, you know, when they're calling our family call center, you know, pointing them in the direction of where childcare providers are opening. We're constantly doing vacancy checks with providers to ensure, like, what do you have available, age range wise. And so, you know, the supports are there, just really depends on it. And a lot of it is funding. And so if there's dollars to give, providers are willing to take it and reopen. And one more point on that is when we did the Pierce County grants, we did have a grant, you know, a certain dollar amount for providers who have closed, and we're saying, are you willing to open within, you know, the next 30 days? And a lot of providers jumped on that opportunity. It was just, they needed that additional funding to just restart their programs and get up and running and then get kids through the door. So great question, Kim. I appreciate that. And Sheila, like Katie mentioned, we'll find out that demographic information, and I think we can just send it to Jeff to send out to the group, but we'll gather some more information for you all so you can take a look at it and get more data around that. So thank you all so much. We appreciate the time here, and hopefully we've shared some information about childcare that you did or didn't know before, but we are very passionate about the work that we do here at Childcare Resources. And as you can see, we're willing to do whatever we can to help support providers and families within Pierce County. So thank you.
All right, thank you. The chat is on fire. First of all, thank you for working out in that chat, asking your questions. And thank you to our speakers for being able to not only present, but also be able to keep up with the questions in the chat. I'm sure that if there's anything that we may be missing, or if there's a question that went unanswered, we will definitely try to make sure that there's follow-up for that. Presenters, if you can go through the chat and see if maybe there's something you might not have been able to respond to while you were presenting, please do so. But this is great work, and I don't know about anybody else, but a lot of, I know for us at Workforce Central, there's been some current conversations, and I just can say a lot of the presentations today are very, very timely. So I just appreciate Tamar and Jeff being able to bring different community leaders and engagers here from different agencies and organizations throughout Pierce County, so that we're able to really see whether or not we're either on the mark or off the mark. And that's important. That's why these presentations matter, and they're so timely. And it just tells us if we're going in the right direction with any type of decision making we're making throughout our landscape, and what exactly are the challenges out there. So this really, really helps a lot to give us more knowledge and understanding of, and I don't know about anybody else, but I'm just saying understanding and knowing your environmental landscape and what those needs are, this is really critical for that. So I hope that the presentations were just as helpful for you as I felt that they were for me. So we're going to move into our subgroup reports. Leads, co-leads, the order of reporting is organizational structures, outreach, and the people's group. So once one finishes, the other one can start right up, and we're going to start with the organizational structures group. The presenter for that, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Shelley. I'm Dr. Cindy Caldwell, and am one of the co-leads for organizational structures. And several of our people couldn't be here today, so I have been the designated reporter. Organizational structures is about bringing DEAI, diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion to the organizations that are part of the task force. So right now we are involved, well, we've already created a lexicon, a resource guide. We have an assessment tool that is very basic and easy to use. And then right now we're working on a summit that we're going to be bringing you specific presentation offerings in January, February, March, and April. So there's 4 different subgroups of the organizational structures. We have a people's group, which includes Carissa, Rachel, Amita, and Will. And then we have the policy group, which is Corbett, Stacia, and Larry. We have the practice group, which is the DEI on the ground, which is myself, Elise, Mike, and Shonday. And then the promotions group is Lawrence, Jamie, and Rachel. So if you would like to join any of those groups, certainly OS, we're going to have breakout rooms in a bit, and you can just come to the meeting and we can talk about where we're going. And if you would like to help, we could really use your help. We could really use more input and people willing to take some leadership into all of this. So we would just love to have you.
All right, outreach.
All right, I figured out how to unmute myself. Hi, I am Anna Owens. I am a part of the outreach team. I'm super excited to be here. Our goal is to engage with organizations and community members to ensure that each has tools necessary to place EDI as a top priority, and by identifying and implementing ways to connect the efforts of PCC ETF and providing space of empowerment and meaningful equitable engagement for the people to connect across the Pierce County community. Our team, our strategy goal for 2021, we are calling it the Year of Resiliency. And we have 3 goals going on right now. One of them is to have a unified intake framework across Pierce County for social service providers. We are also working on embedded diversity inclusion and community-focused events that we're working on as well. So to find out more about it, come on out to our team.
Good morning, everybody. Jeff Wolf, Community Engagement Coordinator here at Workforce Central and also co-lead of the People's Group. I just wanted to mention before a group had to jump off before 10, the presentations, the slide deck is in the chat. So if you want to download that, I threw it in there a couple of different times. So go ahead and download it from there. So the People's Group, our group is really centered about taking kind of a human approach to both peoples and providers, right? Our community members, how do we give them better access? You know, how do we raise awareness? Those types of things. And then from the provider standpoint, how do we support them with providing better service, maybe leveraging resources with partnerships or building better tools, all of that great stuff. And so in our breakout room, we'll touch on some of the things we're working on. One of them is we're building a speakers bureau for people right now with homelessness. And the idea is to kind of reintroduce our community back to our community and give these people a voice. This is our first topic as we build the template. And the idea is to give them kind of a toolkit to build resiliency, right? How do they talk about their story? How do they present their story? How do they feel comfortable talking about the different lived experiences? a short and long bio, headshot, letter of recommendation. How did these lived experiences translate to a resume? All these different things are kind of what's in part of that. Another thing is we're working on pandemic pods. So it was great to have childcare resources on here. Just trying to figure out what that looks like. A lot of people are talking about alternative learning and alternative childcare, but with COVID kind of being kind of this mysterious thing with no end date, nobody's really moving on it. And so we're trying to figure out like what's the best platform and how do we partner with local organizations to do that. A couple other really high level things that we're working on, and these are just getting off the ground. Jeff Date is kind of leading this high level, like the ultimate unsiloing of Pierce County, and what does that look like? And how do we, engage the community and really understand, what that looks like versus, how do we really partner with the different service providers? It's a very high level thing, but it's kind of the ultimate goal of what our group is. And so we'll definitely need some help with that. Another is Phyllis from Career Connect Washington. We are working with her. She's starting a sub work group in the People's Group to basically do like a cross-county collaboration. So King County, Pierce County, about raising awareness on different career paths and really working with partners across the county lines. And how does that work? Like I said, that's just getting off the ground. And in addition to those four, we have a bunch of ideas that are in the parking lot that we would love to get started as well. So if any of those interest you, please join in on the People's Group when we go to the breakout rooms. And with that,
Right.
Go ahead, Shelley.
So Jeff is gonna give you instructions. That's what we're gonna transition into. So I just want to preface it. So we come here, we have these meetings, but a lot of you who were not with us when we originally started pre-COVID, you didn't get to be a part of the work. So this is how it used to work. We would come in, we would do all of our introductions. Tamar would lay out the why for the task force, and over time we were able to create a one-pager, a commitment document, and then we also were able to break off into our groups in a very large space that we were given to use. And each group that you just heard from would break off into their small little learning pods and working pods and whiteboard away, or and just get down to the nitty-gritty of the focus of that group. And that would go on for about 30 to 45 minutes where you were really engaged. You had a space where you had voice, and you also were able to actually participate and bring value. So one thing that is important about anything that you do in life, not only do you want to invest in it, but it needs to have a return on investment for you. So we want to make sure that we get back to that. And so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going into breakout rooms. You'll be in there for about 30, 45 minutes, Jeff? 30 to 45 minutes. You get to select the breakout room you want to go into. And get this, if you've only attended our meetings a couple of times and you feel like you need to know more and you want to get some more context and history and you want to hear from the amazing Tamar Jackson about our why and just get some more breakdown, you have the option of staying here with us in the lobby. So you'll be able to either stay in the lobby or you can go into the different breakout rooms. This should be down at the bottom of your screen where you can choose that have been opened up. So we are going to go ahead and what are the instructions, Jeff?
So at the bottom of your screen, I just opened up the rooms and you should have your options to join the different breakout rooms. Go ahead and select the one that you would like to join, and you are able to leave that at any moment and come back to the lobby if needed, if you're not able to stay for the whole time.
And we will reconvene in the lobby. So when it does end, your timer will give you the countdown that it's ending. Everyone will come back into the lobby. We will wrap up with general, with any Q&As that we have and talk about our next meeting. So we hope this is a better investment of your time and that you're able to get involved, bringing your best and highest contribution. All right, let's go. I like seeing people move. I like Everybody's moving, going into their breakout room, trying to make a decision. Where do I want to go? I feel like we need some music or anything.
Oh,
Just,
man.
maybe honor Alex Trebek today. We should add like Jeopardy music playing today in honor of Alex Trebek. I don't know. Dun, 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 while everybody makes a
Hey,
move.
Shelley, a lot
Yes.
of people are saying in the chat they don't see how to
They don't
enter
see
in.
it. Jeff, do you?
On the bottom, click breakout rooms and see
You
if
should
that,
say breakout rooms at the bottom of the screen. You don't see it?
no?
Okay, well, Jeff, we might have to just put them in breakout rooms. I see it.
Okay. Let's see.
So it doesn't sit. Okay, so I would just, there are people that I see that have chosen. They're
Yeah,
already there.
Yeah, we have a bunch in there.
It
In
might
the
be
chat,
a setting issue.
Huh?
It might be a setting issue. Sometimes it's how you set up your Zoom account. It
Yeah.
can impact the options that you get. So my guess is that like,
Okay.
in order to give breakout rooms, you have to have a
So
setting option.
who's in here who wants to, okay, so maybe we can do it this way. Delia, what room did you want to go into? Are you staying in the lobby? Are you?
I wanted to stay in the lobby to learn more options, but I
Okay. No, the lobby isn't an option. The lobby is here.
Okay, I'll
So if
stay.
you're staying in the lobby, you're in the right place.
I would like to stay as well.
Okay.
for those that are putting it in the chat, go ahead and do that, and I'm assigning you as I
As
see
he
it.
sees it, as he
Yep.
see it, yes. And then that way we can go from there. It's like, this is the lobby. I would love to say this is where the fun is. Try to give Jeff a little time. So while Jeff is doing that, Tamar, let's go ahead and kick it off. I don't know what he's doing, or if he hears me. I think we're getting there. I feel like we're getting there. How you feeling, Jeff?
Doing good. I'm rolling.
You're rolling? Okay. All right. Hey, every time you try something new, it's a challenge, but it's okay. We will get there. So Tamar,
Everything is new. What up?
Yep. So Jeff is rolling.
Okay.
Michelle said as much as she wants to be in the loop, she gonna stay in the lobby. All right, Michelle. All right. Okay, I think the different rooms are organizational structures. You just heard from all the presenters. Organizational structures, outreach, or the people's group.
Okay, I think I have everybody that put it in
There was
there.
one question about
Oh, there's Dara. Okay.
okay, organizational structures, and I think you'll get maybe one or two more. Thanks, Juliana. Been so busy. I was like, I forgot she was on here. I knew she was here, but
I'm quiet today, just in the background.
all right. I think we have a little bit of okay. So I think that we have enough audience to get started. First of all,
Perfect.
welcome to the lobby. We want to welcome you to just participating. So just with a show of hands or using your icon, how many of you have attended more than one meeting? Well, okay, so for everyone, this is your first meeting. The majority of you, this is your first time attending. Oh my goodness. So I know this is a lot of information hitting you at once. So thank you for joining us. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start off by calling out your names and just give us your name, title, organization, and I'll just go off of my screen for what I see. And I'll start with Sheila. Mariflor?
That is correct. Good morning. I'm Sheila. I am the program coordinator for Economic Security for All at Goodwill. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Delia Flores?
You got it. Good morning. My name is Delia Flores, and my preferred pronouns are she, her, hers. And I work for Metro Parks Tacoma as part of the outreach and engagement team.
Thank you. And it's Audra, right? Audra Good, is it? Yes, Audra Goodman.
Yes, that is correct. Hello, everyone. My name is Audra Goodman. I'm the assistant principal at Ford Middle School in the Franklin Pierce School District.
Thank you for joining us. Debbie Patton, right?
Yes, Debbie Patton. My pronouns are she, hers. I'm an adjunct professor at Tacoma Community College.
Thank you for joining us. Elliot Sawyer.
Hello, Elliot. Pronouns he, him. I'm the talent development specialist and outreach coordinator for Equus Workforce Solutions.
Thank you for joining us. Chandrea Chapman. Chandrea,
Everyone.
I don't know why I keep wanting to put add an R, but it's Chandrea. Thank you.
Okay, that's okay. Shonda Chapman. I'm with Bates Technical College in the worker retraining program, and my pronouns are she, hers.
Thank you. Michael Lang, Lang.
Lang. Good morning, everyone. Michael Lang, Program Director for SpaceWorks Tacoma. We're a program of the Tacoma Pierce County Chamber that provides training and support to artists and creative entrepreneurs.
Thank you for joining us. Erin Williams.
I'm Erin Williams, and my pronouns are she, hers, and I am the fiscal manager at Career Path Services in Spokane, Washington.
Nice to see you again, Erin. Melanie Davis Jones.
Pronouns are she, hers. I'm the executive director for Soul Seeds nonprofit.
Thank you for joining us. Angel Phillips.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angel Phillips. I'm the director of marketing for TAPCO Credit Union here in Pierce County.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. Abigail Vizcara. Is it right, Perez? Abigail Perez?
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I am Abigail Vizcara Perez, and I am the Diversity Outreach Specialist for the Planning and Capital Development at Metro Parks Tacoma. And I've been a part loosely coming in and out. But I wanted to be here with you all first timers just to kind of re-up and join you in the newness of it all. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. See Joanna Rasmussen.
Hi everyone, I'm Joanna Rasmussen. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Director of Communications at Workforce Central.
Thank you. And Cammie, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you, Shelley. Cammie Eakins, Career Path Services. Pronouns are she, hers. And Erin told me about your all meeting and thought it would be a good idea for us to check out what you're doing. We're hearing good things, so I'm anxious to learn more.
Thank you. Sinoon Him. I hope I said that right.
Yes, hi. Yes, you got it. Good morning, everyone. I work for Asia Pacific Culture Center. I'm a youth program manager at Asia Pacific Culture Center. And I think I was supposed to be in one of the group, but I can't find my group.
Which group do you want to be? Which group would you like to be in?
I'll just stay with you guys for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Gabe, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but help me.
Yep.
Gabe. Gabe? Okay.
Yep, Gabe Moali'i with the Tacoma Pierce County Health Department. And in my health department role, I'm with Healthy, Resilient Children and Youth and the Underlying Conditions for Health. And in our COVID response, I'm our business liaison.
Okay, thank you for being here. Juliana Flanders.
Hi, my name is Juliana Flanders, and I am the content designer for Workforce Central and the brand strategist for the task force.
Thank you. Frank Boykin.
Hey, good morning. My name is Frank Boykin. Pronouns are he, him. It is really good to be here. I sort of fibbed. This is more than my first meeting, but I was excited about remaining in the lobby and being somewhat inconspicuous. Really good to see everybody though, and excited to be here. Glad I remained in the lobby.
I'm so glad you stayed too.
Director of Manufacturing for the South Sound, and it's a program of the Tacoma Pierce County Chamber.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have Dr. Bob Daniel. Okay. All right, and then I have you, Martin. It just says you, Martin. I don't know the full name.
Yes, good day. Ulysses Martin, Tacoma Pierce County Health Department, currently administrating a program under the SNAP-Ed federally funded program to support families under the poverty level to access healthy food and nutrition.
All right, thank you so much. All right, and last but not least, my name, of course, Shelly Willis. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm just glad that you are joining us today. We have just a little list of things that we wanted to go through with you, but we thought that it was important that you heard from our leader. We thought that it was important that our CEO, who has just really just come in and just really just taken all of this in, and I just have no words to describe her as far as her leadership style, in her inclusivity and her adaptability to come in and just support the movement and all the great work that Tamar has been leading, and just seeing what we've done, the impact that Workforce Central has made on the community through this effort. So I'm going to turn it over to our CEO, Katie Condit, for her comments and information.
Thank you, Shelly. Tamar asked me to just introduce myself. So now I've got, the stakes are high here. Thank you. And I am going to firmly argue that the lobby is the place to be. So all those people in the loop they're missing out today. Thank you. I'm certainly not any kind of singular leader in this organization. I think since I have come in July, it has been a privilege and an honor to follow and learn from Tamar and this incredible collective work. I think one of the things Workforce Central has learned over the years is that we certainly cannot do what we do in a silo. And when we try, we fail. We do not meet the community where they're at. And we do not go as far as we need to do our work well and in service and in partnership. And so this is an incredibly powerful group of leaders and stakeholders across the community coming together in ways that I think are unprecedented. And that shows in how many folks from across the state and the country are looking to this group, this community engagement task force, to wonder and ask how it's done and why it works and what makes it magic. And so I'm really proud and honored to be a part of this work, and in all ways consider myself a part of this team. And by this team, I mean really the collective, what was it today, 72 individuals who are moving this work forward. So thank you. And if there are ways that I or Workforce Central can be supporting stronger alignment, we are in. Tamar and the leaders of this group have a vision that it is not hard to get behind. So I am there, and I am glad you are too. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So so we have a one pager, and I think Tamar is pulling it up, or you can shoot it to Jeff so Jeff can share it with the group. We, on our course for developing this, what we found, we worked collectively. So nothing was done in a silo. We worked collectively with everyone who's involved to form a strong mission, a strong vision, our purpose, our pillars, all of that great information, like how we work, what we desire to see. We work together collaboratively to set that up. As you also know, is the different groups that we talked about today, those groups they meet in between these meetings. So whichever direction you go, wherever you think you're going to bring your best and your highest contribution, that is like, go where it speaks to you. Also thinking about it in the context of this. If you're not the person who can say yes or no on like how much involvement your organization can have in the activities that will move us forward, we have a commitment document. We have a one pager, something that you can take back to your leadership so that they can also understand exactly what we're doing here. And you can definitely invite them into the next meeting so they can see for themselves before they allow you to commit, more of your time. Usually it's the community engager, the advocator in the organization, maybe the HR representative, someone of that nature that's usually coming to our meetings it's, we're starting to also see our CEOs and our COOs and so it's great to see decision makers coming to the table so that we can really be thoughtful about how do we move forward. So I asked Tamar to bring up the one pager and for Jeff to drop it in the chat for you so that you can have it yourself. Do you have it, Tamar?
Yeah, I just sent it over to Jeff. It's it's not branded yet, but it's the most current on everything that we're working on. So
okay, I didn't know if you want to pull it up or you're just going to talk from it.
I'll talk from it. I'll definitely talk from it. I sent it over to Jeff as well, so it will end up over in the chat, but I'll talk from it.
And I also want you to bring up our website where the Pierce County Community Engagement Task Force is also. I think you should share that screen so they can see that too, just so they can see where everything lives on the Workforce Central website and how they can find more information in the event that they do have further questions. So we're going to pull that up and I'm going to turn it over to you, Tamar, to kind of walk everybody, take everyone on a journey.
All right, let's make it happen. So first and foremost, thanks you guys for being here. The first timers is crazy when I get to see all you guys. And when I started this whole thing, honestly, was it was a dream for me. It was, how do we make the community better by working together? I know all of you guys and your experiences, we all work in silos. Every last one of us do. It's best practice. It's crazy, but that's best practice. You do what you do inside of your building, you keep your secrets and believe that you are serving the community the best way possible. And we are the best at everything that we do because it's all in-house. But everybody on this phone call knows that that's just not how it works. So I wanted to really embrace myself and align myself with the best that are in our community. And that's really where we jumped to Motown. And I wanted the best. I wanted the stars. I wanted to align with those ones that wanted to think outside of the box, but allowing us to stay in the box. We just extended the walls a whole lot more than what they usually are extended. So everyone that I run with, we are the best at what we do, but we can serve the community with everything that we have. And so we were created, actually, our first meeting was back May 2019. And we recognized that a lot of work was being done in the community, but the results weren't inclusive to this community. We stayed in certain sections, and most of us that are from Pierce County, those sections were Tacoma. And so we left Pierce County out, we just stayed in Tacoma. And so I wanted to move further and started grabbing people from all over our community, whoever was best at housing, whoever was best at mental health, whoever was best at food, whoever was best at juvenile justice, whoever was best at service providing, wraparound services, whatever that looked like. I wanted the best people possible. So that way, no matter what we did, we stopped trying to have our community figure out how to navigate a system that they don't understand. And honestly, they were never meant to understand how to navigate this system. So I wanted to create a system that navigated the person. And when I said navigated the person, to make sure that we all stayed on the same playing field, because we didn't care. It's like the win is for all of us. And so if I know that I'm the best at workforce development, but I can't help this person until they can truly come to me, then I'm not going to check a box. I'm not going to say, boom, I got him a job, but I left him where he's homeless. He doesn't have stable living. He doesn't have transportation. Oh, the job's in Federal Way and the buses don't start running until 7 o'clock, but I got him a job that started at 5. I got to check the box, but the accountability from that person to me didn't exist because I get to fade to black. He can't come to me and say, you screwed me. And so I didn't want that for anyone that was in this community. So it was really about making sure that if I can't touch that person, it's okay. As long as we're doing the work correctly, then it's fine. I know that that person is homeless. I need to call Jeff because I know that Jeff works with homeless young adults. And as soon as Jeff is able to take care of him and give him that 100%, then he can go ahead and call Erin because Erin works with financial literacy and she can take care of him 100%. And then Erin can go to Michael and sit and say, hey, we got some education things. He really wants to jump on this or jump on apprenticeships and can go from there. And then Mike goes to Frank and Frank comes to me and says, hey, he's ready. We all get the win. We all get to sit and clap our hands. We all get to celebrate, but we get to mark a box of success because we created an advocate that can go back out to the community. And at that point say, I know someone that is in the same situation that I've experienced. Jeff, can I get him in touch with you? And then that whole cycle starts again. And then we get to check another box of success and another box of success. And so that was the real premise around what I wanted this task force for and the importance of it. And it was for all of us to be able to do our work to the top tier without stretching our bandwidth and trying to do something that we know that we truly can't fulfill. And that's taking care of a whole person, because we don't have the leverage to be able to take care of that whole person. Any person that we touch, any person that we take care of, any person that we refer, we want to make sure that we can hold each other accountable for what we're giving to that person. If I send you somebody, trust me, I'm going to call and I'm going to hold you accountable to what happens to that person. And you should be okay with that, because when you call me or you call someone else from the team, they should expect the same thing. I'm going to take care of it. I'll follow up with you. Don't worry about it. And most of us don't email each other anymore. We call each other. It's a direct line of contact. I could tell you all, I don't like emails. I'll most likely call and pick up a phone and talk to you guys, because that's how we're really supposed to communicate with each other, is call and make sure. Because an email, one, if I'm serving somebody, guess what? I have to tell you that story through email. And then that person has to come and tell you their story once again. And then you email someone else to tell that same person's story. And then that person has to tell that person's story again. Before we even get that person help, we've put them through so much traumatic stress of reliving their story instead of just getting them the help that they need, that we lose them in a system because they feel like it's a joke to them. You know, they've gone through so much trauma. Why are we asking them for more trauma? And so that's why outreach and engagement is working on a universal slip right there for them, so we can deal with that. That's why the People's Group is working on a speakers bureau, so they can speak the knowledge that we truly don't know, so we can stop building programs that shouldn't even exist. We got them out of a book or something, or we got them from across country and said, well, they work in Kentucky, it should work out here. Our demographics are completely the same. So we can't build a program and expect it to work without asking the people who it's meant to serve in the first place. And that's our community. I'd rather listen to their story and them say, you know what, most of your programs did not work for me, but this one did. Then why aren't we investing in that one that did? Because that's what helped them out. That's this task force. That's the dream about what we do, is because we've all come together. Every one of you guys that are on this phone call right now, I don't care if you're from Eastern Washington, I don't care if you're from Georgia, I don't care if you're from out of this country. We can all work with each other because we all don't know everything. And what you don't know, and that's okay. But we're also okay with asking for help. If I don't know it, I'm going to ask somebody for help. And I have no shame in that. If you want to jump on, if you want to be aboard, if you want to help this, if you can only give 10 minutes of your time, but you say, I got that, don't worry about it, then that helps us succeed in what it is that we're trying to do. And that's to get this bigger win over this community. We can't do it tomorrow, we know that. But the closer we become, the more accountable we hold each other, the more we bring in organizations, the more we're adding leadership and we're holding leadership accountable. Honestly, the more we're holding the community accountable and saying, I hear that you guys are asking this from us. We're doing this for you, but what are you doing with it? And if you're not doing something with it, where did we mess up? So that way we can correct that and we can move and we can keep pushing and go further rather than sitting there continuously going back. I know earlier in the meeting, you guys had heard 2021 is the year of resilience. You know, we spent a long time and we've been through a lot of things in 2020. And I look at 2020 as the year of community engagement. We built this task force up like crazy, but we're about to change the game and we're going to teach resiliency. And how do we keep this going for generational change? Because what we're doing now, honestly, we don't get to reap the benefits of it. Our children do. And if you don't have children, your nieces and nephews do. And if you don't have them, your kids and the neighbors that you watch in the neighborhood, they get to benefit all this work that we do on a daily basis, that we hold each other accountable on. And it takes all of our organizations, for-profit, nonprofit, private sector, government, it takes all of us. And every one of us have to be held accountable, regardless of the level that you sit at, 50,000, 30,000, 15,000 are on the ground. Everyone has to be held accountable. You can't get to know this community from third party and asking half of your staff. That's why we're so proud of our CEO, because she's here with us. She doesn't hear about the community third party. She's hearing about it from all of you guys and what we're doing to make things happen. And so that's the way you guys' leadership needs to be as well. They need to be held accountable to sit and say, hey, we're not judging, but we're trying to make these changes and we need you on board with us. Everybody else's leadership's on board. We need to be that flagship. Show your wounds. You guys recognized organizations coming in and talking about their inequities and what they're doing wrong in an organization. That's rare to see. No one likes to show that they're inadequate when it comes to equality. We all know that. But when it comes down to it, you have to be able to show those wounds, because I guarantee you somebody else is going through the same thing and they're going to reach out and say, man, how did you guys figure that out? Because that's what we're struggling with right now. Is there a way that we can connect online? All these people that are on this phone, 72 people, you can connect with every last one of them offline as well. And they'll answer to you personally because they know that you're part of the team. We support the team no matter what we do every day. It's really about this team. It's about our organization second and us as people first. And as long as we always keep it that way, then we're always going to win because our organizations can leverage what we can't as people. If we know that we need this, but somebody's organization can do that, it doesn't have to always be transactional. We just have to go to our leadership and say, this is what we need to make this bigger dream exist. We need you to step up. And sometimes that's all leadership can do for us, is be there to push the button to sit and say, oh, that's what you guys need? Perfect, take it, gone. That's it. So, I mean, with that being said, honestly, you guys, welcome to the task force. Welcome to this amazing, beautiful dream that the rest of this team has helped me build. And we're gonna win always. I believe that we just keep building until someone tells us stop. Katie ain't gonna say stop. So we just gonna keep building. And then you guys get your boss and then don't let them to tell us stop either. But we're doing amazing things. I'm so glad that you guys get the opportunity to be here with us. What's up, MJ? And if there's any questions, please ask. Any one of us on this team can answer, myself especially. But I'm glad to have you guys here. I'm glad that you guys are about to go on this journey with us. We're changing the world, man, one day at a time, one organization at a time, one child at a time. But it takes all of us to come together and leave all the egos at the front door. Because when you walk in, you in Loop City. So let's make it happen.
So Jeff, I'm pushing it over to you. Many of you don't know when we initially started and Tamar's position was created. And I have to tell you, there's power in being empowered to build something that has never been done. And to be able to have that opportunity is amazing. But when Tamar started, it was Tamar Jackson and his backup crew. So we were backing him up and supporting him in lifting his vision that he spoke on. Also, at the same time, he needed some backup. So that is where the great decision of bringing in some support and not just support, but you have to have a standing bearer. You have to have someone that's going to stand by you in the journey and has like-mindedness in your vision also in order to carry that forward. And I wanted Jeff Wolf to chime in here and share his perspective, because Jeff has been on this journey with us prior to actually being selected for hire here at Workforce Central. And so he has a multitude of perspectives, but I really want him to share his journey as well as what he's seeing future forward. Definitely. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Shelley. Just wanted to add, I did the About Us is in the chat, and then I also put the website, and I shared that for a bit, but definitely feel free to browse that when you have a chance. At the bottom, it does go into the different groups and who the co-leads are. Feel free to reach out to us via email or anything if you have any questions on that. And like Shelley said, I've been involved pretty much a year now. I think my year anniversary has come up. Nobody celebrated it though. But I come from the business background, and in August of 2019, I walked away from my print marketing company to really dive into kind of the young adult space and how do we help them, enter adulthood, with relevant life skills and career advice, and understanding that there's not just one linear way to get where you need to go, and it's not a one size fits all thing like everybody says it is. And Tamar said, come over to the task force. Like, we would love to have you. Obviously, I've known Tamar a really, really long time, and we've talked about this stuff for so long. And what an opportunity to work with, you know, one of my good friends on this work. So I joined, and it has been a constant evolution of trying to figure out how to move the needle on all of these different topics and with all of these amazing people. And so, yeah, when COVID hit, and that kind of changed where we're going, no more in-person meetings. And so we've been trying to figure out Zoom and how to do this. I can just say that, just from my standpoint, like, this group of people, I respect 100%. And when somebody needs something, or there's a meeting about something, I do everything I can to be a part of it, because I just love, you know, what we're doing and everybody that's involved. So yeah, the breakout rooms was something brand new. And I really love it, because it gives us, you know, kind of that nostalgic, that back when we were together, you know, feeling. And it just allows everybody to really engage with the different groups. When you come to a task force meeting and there's, you know, you're kind of like on the fence of what you want to do, but you have ideas, there really wasn't a quick way to get engaged. And this kind of bridges that gap. And so we'll just continue to evolve it over time. The groups themselves are really moving. And so if you, you know, whatever group you want to be involved in, I would definitely, you know, figure out which one it is. And then next month, when we do the breakout rooms, go there. One of the kind of the evolutions of the groups is really defining our roles and our needs, and voicing that to everybody that's involved in the task force, because that's important. We ask all of our presenters to give their big ask, but our groups themselves need to know, you know, which on the individual initiatives, what roles do we need and what tasks need to be done, so that people know how to plug in, how, you know, especially quickly. Or if you've been here for 6 months, but you still don't quite know, maybe there's a task that needs to be done in organizational structures that you can help out with. And so that's the idea, is just really trying to evolve this and get it to where people can plug in and do the work, and we can really start to move the needle. Oh, you're on
All right,
mute.
so we've been speaking a lot. And I know you have, hopefully you've been able to at least pull the document up that we shared with our why, who we are, what our driving forces are, what our actual groups are. And as you'll see, we're, you know, this document, it was finalized a little bit, and now we're reworking it because of just the things that we're seeing. Angel asked, can we move around in different groups to see where would be the best to fit for us? Yes, you can. You can hop around and move around, and that way because when you think about it, you know, when you think about volunteering to be a part of a movement, you don't just want to, you know, be told where to go. You want to go where you know you're going to add value, and you'll have some return on your investment, as I said earlier. So I just really wanted to make sure that you all have you know, we wanted to make sure you had an understanding of our basis, our foundation, our why, and give you a space to kind of absorb all of that and then ask questions. So we're going to just open it up for open dialogue questions. Tamara's dialed in, Katie's here, Jeff's here, I'm here, Juliana's here. So, you know, if you have any questions that you want to ask, let's go ahead and let's open it up and start having some open dialogue around things. Okay, so what y'all not fixing to do in the lobby is be quiet. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. This is
That's
not
right.
happening. What you're not gonna do is be quiet up in the lobby. You are not about to be staring eyes at me while I'm sitting up here trying to facilitate this whole process.
All right.
Oh, y'all.
There are also, Shelly, there are also questions in the chat.
I see. I know, okay, Audrey, you have to go. Thank you so much for being here. Is there a group currently that is short on volunteers at the moment? There is no such thing as short on volunteers. Everybody has a need. So you can go really think about deeply about where, you know, if you walked into work and your CEO said, you know what, we're going to change your job description. What is something you're passionate about doing? And how do we help you do that and basically feel purposeful when you come here? So what is it that you could do? It's really amazing when you take the limits off and you use that magic wand concept. People really kind of like lose their mind. Oh my God, but what are my parameters? What do I need? And so we kind of want you to just think about that untapped talent you may not get to use at work, but you know you could use in this community effort, which actually will indirectly impact your organization and they would benefit from it. Abigail, do you have something? You unmuted? Or no? Oh, okay.
I do.
Okay.
I think I have an echo. Let's let Ulysses go while I solve that problem.
Okay, Ulysses.
Appreciate everyone. I'm coming from a perspective of about 12 years in Washington State infrastructure, building highways. And I went through an apprenticeship program myself back in, good Lord, 2006. And at that time, you know, with the health department, with the transportation department, there was funding from that, definitely from groups like workforce development that through the years has gone to the state, you know, to advocate for funds to be put back into communities to create jobs, right? So what kind of jobs, you know, are on the horizon? And again, I'm coming from right now more of a health perspective, community health, where we're talking about, you know, individuals having the wherewithal, resources to purchase food and healthy homes and whatnot. So from a health perspective, we know it's about income access, right? But then the quality of life associated with how much money and how much things cost. So, you know, there's a lot of things, you know, I would love to say that a person at my time when I was able in 2006, not to speak about myself so much, was able to earn, you know, $23 an hour, you know, what's a livable wage? So I really want to advocate for this kind of task force that we begin to put pressure on systems to redistribute funds, just like the governor has done with funding some resource to come in the 98404 to look at what is green infrastructure, what are the new jobs on the horizon, what are the pathways to get to those. If we have more people and more technology that's doing the work of people, how are we going to get people to get access resources to have a dignified and quality living standard? And I'm not sure if it's going to be universal basic income aspects and other mechanisms, but you know, we have to have a lot of things besides getting people back to work. It has to be work that's sustainable and that there's more people out at the table to have opportunities. And yes, the young people, of course. So my green infrastructure work now is more about getting the youth involved with what are those potential, you know, not forklift jobs. I'm not minimizing any of those because I know people who retire and blue collar work. You know, what are going to be the unions? What are the unified collective bargaining agreements that when people get work, they're not without work the next day. So again, there's a lot of things that this task force is beginning to unveil. But from the health perspective, we want people to have a better quality of living and a healthier living so that we as a as a healthcare system don't have to pay into those costs for people's, you know, I think there would be lifestyle choices, but we know stress as a trigger causes unhealthy habits. So with that, I appreciate you asking for input into this breakout session.
You're muted, Tamar.
Ulysses, perfect. Thank you. And I appreciate that one. Definitely. A few things to actually touch base on that. For me personally, it's having the right conversation and having the courageous conversation. That's the first, you know, when we talk about getting the young adults into jobs, I don't know if you heard about the Recovery Corp going on right now with the fund that we had gotten as a grant through Workforce Central in the county and partnering with Goodwill, which is allowing young adults between 16 and 24 to be able to work through the end of the year. And when we talk about the health perspective, it allows young adults to bring in an income that the adults may not be bringing in at the moment. It allows them to be part of their community. It allows them to engage with what's going on. It allows them to give a work experience. But when we did this, one of the biggest things were we didn't want the forklift jobs. We didn't want the manufacturing jobs. We wanted to actually open that up to a broader spectrum. So through a lot of our partnerships, I mean, we have Goodwill, or not Goodwill, we have Point Defiance in there. We have Center for Urban Care. We have, what am I thinking about? Northwest Track. We have a lot of different family-owned organizations as well supporting these young adults. And it was crazy. Overnight, there was 40 organizations saying, we want to take these kids on. We want to take these kids on. And so that's one thing going on in the community right now. And I can definitely get you more information about that. But also, it's us having those conversations courageously and asking. And I ask all the time, what's next? Because the pandemic has been blamed for a lot. And the pandemic has been used for excuse to not have to deal with the real situations and the real problems. And those are what's happening when they start taking rent again. What happens when they start turning off gas, when they start turning off power, when they start turning off water. What do those conversations look like? Because right now, this Oprah mentality is everybody wins. That's false. Everybody gets some lights. Everybody gets some rental assistance. But when all that, as Shelley would say, funny money is gone, what's the real conversation? And that's something that needs to start happening now, because you think poverty is that right now is an issue. Wait until March, when these landlords can go get their money, when these power companies can go ahead and start cutting people off. Those are the conversations that we need to push. We need to push to our leadership. We need to push to organizations. We need to push to stateside. Those are the conversations that need to be done in order for us to keep a healthy community moving in the way that it should be. And it's all going to be real conversation starting.
So I'll go quick on my personal / professional interest, and it's kind of doing a system change on our healthy workplaces. So it's this intersection for me of like all the women and inequities in the workforce, and like how childcare is really impacting, you know, our future workforce. And then how can we, you know, come back stronger from COVID, like really building on that resiliency recovery kind of, you know, how do we create healthy workplaces? So I'm interested in which breakout group would really kind of hit like the business intersection of, you know, how do we build out some social entrepreneurial models of childcare, of health policies at workplaces? How do we capitalize on the gains that we've had in COVID, like teleworking and efficiencies? And is there potential even like anchor institutions or large employers that could, you know, pilot some different ways of, you know, like childcare on site, or, you know, offering different programs, or building on a lot of those employers and workplaces that are already doing it because out of necessity, and then learning, you know, what's working well, what's not working well, and kind of come together as a county and say, you know, we really want to have a child-centered or family-centered community that is good for business. So I'd be interested in kind of what group, or if that conversation's happening.
I can touch on that.
Go ahead, Jeff.
So I would say the right off the bat, I'd say the People's Group. There's already a small working group that's working with pandemic pods, and that actually started with trying to get some employers to adopt some alternative different childcare options. Or if there's you know, an empty office right now and a boardroom's available, maybe that becomes like a alternative virtual learning hub or something like that. That's kind of where it all started from, especially with you being at the health department. I think you know, there's already quite a few of your colleagues in the People's Group. So I just think that would be a natural fit. If to touch on like the business side, that's a conversation we've been having with leadership, is just trying to figure out, you know, maybe there's a sub-working group under the People's Group that's specifically for the business sector or the private sector or small businesses, whatever it may be. One, to kind of tap into their voice and get feedback and hear what their needs are, but also to help them understand what resources are available within all of the different grants or service providers or whatever it may be. So I would say the People's Group.
Okay, and I would be really interested in a subgroup, because especially at the health department, we haven't really developed, like, you know, economics, income is an underlying condition for health, and we haven't really developed that strategy, like from a health strategy perspective, like what that looks like. And it's obviously huge in scope. And so we're kind of reaching out I'm at the place of reaching out to some partners that we haven't worked with as much. And even though we are, like the health department, we're pretty well represented in a lot of angles, the specific business angle, and I actually have a small business too, so I come from it from that perspective. And I know that that's definitely an area that, needs some relationship building from our perspective.
Yeah, I agree.
And even with that, Gabe, we are actually working with Jeff too. And we've actually discussed it even with Shelly and ourselves, trying to possibly collaborate and bring in the business solutions team that we have and bringing them into the task force, because that is their job, is to bring the voice of the businesses. So looking at maybe a small satellite pod outside of the engagement and outreach group to be able to bring those businesses and organizations. So when you are asking those questions or you need that connection, they're already there. It's just a plug and play at that moment.
I love that. And just as a quick, and I talked to you about this tomorrow, but we're actually doing some listening sessions with the business sector. And the three kind of subsectors are employers and women with school age and young children, essential workers, and then like smaller businesses, BIPOC-owned businesses throughout the county. So we're using COVID dollars. They're gonna have a little COVID lens, but we'll have some of those by the end of December.
We definitely, I want to say Sam Bradshaw is on this call, and want to connect you with our business services team members so we can find the alignment there. That would be great. That's a great connection. Thank you so much for mentioning that. That was a really good conversation. Are there any other questions? Everyone's starting to return back to the lobby. So they missed all this goodness, and I'm sure they had some great conversations themselves, but are there any other questions in the group, from the group, any other conversation statements?
I just have a quick announcement for folks. I just got the notice. It's Tim Jumper's birthday today. Is that correct? It's Tim Jumper's birthday, and he's on the call. Happy birthday, Tim.
Thank you so much, Corey. I appreciate it.
Happy birthday to everybody that has a birthday in November. Happy birthday. Because I know we won't meet again. I just sent you a message. But thanks.
It says you can stay the age you want for 10 years. So I'm still 39. And just so you know. Also, I wanted to clarify that there are two people's groups right now. There's the overall people's group that we have three designations from the task force: organizational structures, peoples, and outreach. Then within organizational structures, as we create this summit, there's 4 groups you can be on that are working on doing presentations for 2021. So just to clarify that we did get some confusion around that.
Okay, well, and I think that knowing the breakdown, definitely tomorrow we'll have to work with Jeff. Him and Jeff will have to send that out so that there's a better, org chart, within the structure, what the structure is, so that people are clear next time on where they want to go. You keep the lines clean. So you get in there, you have 3 areas of focus. Now, what happens once you get inside that group? There are subgroups within it, but we don't want to confuse people by saying there's 3 or 4 of this. You have the overarching group, you get there, and then hopefully within that group, whatever work is happening, it really works for you. So want to make sure that we keep you dialed in. So thank you, Cindy, for that. And we'll make sure that that'll be on our after action report on how we can make sure that we are clear about what the areas are. But I don't want anyone to be confused. There are only 3 overarching themes in focus groups, and then within those groups there's some other objectives that they're working on. Let's just say that, areas of focus. So we'll just do that. All right, so it looks like everyone's coming back in. I don't know, I have 3 pages, Jeff. I think everyone is back, if you are back. So how does everyone feel? Go ahead and put it in the chat. How do you feel after today's activities? Really would love to know what your thoughts are on how you feel like today went. Please go ahead and just throw that in the chat. Any comments are definitely wanted. We would love to know how you feel about today, how we actually did the breakout rooms and things like that. So we're about to wrap up. So before I wrap up and close out with some final instructions, Jeff, Tamar, do you have anything you want to share with the group before we get ready to bring it to a close?
Myself, personally, I just want to tell you guys, thank you for being here. The lobby was a lot of fun. Just getting to know people, letting them know what we are doing. Very excited for this work that's just getting ready to happen in 2021, the year resiliency. Make sure you keep it on the calendar. Man, again, thank you guys so much. And I look forward to working with every last one of you guys in the coming year.
All right, Jeff, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you everyone for patience with the breakout rooms. This is our first time doing it, and just kind of all the evolution that's happening within the task force. Just excited to be here, excited to have everybody here. Thank you again.
All right. Any other commentary before I give some last instructions and information? Anybody? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I would just, I guess, have a question. I wonder for the next meeting if we could have someone to do a presenting. There is a program on 38th Street Youth Building that just finished building. And I wonder if someone could present that information to us.
Is that Arlington Apartments?
The Arlington Apartments?
I believe so, yeah. Arlington Apartment for the youth or
Mm-hmm. So I think that that was at our last meeting, or
I think it was September
meeting. But what we do have is a way to connect you with him. So Jeff can do that, get you connected as well, because he did not only a presentation but a follow-on presentation. So remember that after this meeting, there is an 11 o'clock follow-up, 11 o'clock session right after this with Raeshawna Ware for the city of Tacoma. So you can get more in depth about what she spoke about today. We want to thank all of our presenters today, all of our community partners for joining us today. Also, hopefully, leads, while you were in your group, you were able to get the contact information for everyone in your group who said that they wanted to continue to work and participate. Also, thank you for our newest members who joined us, and I hope that you learned a lot in the lobby today, hearing from our CEO and from our Director of Community Engagement. That was great. And I'm glad that this experience seems to be fruitful. What's going to happen next is we're going to send you out a survey with 3 questions. They're not going to probably have anything to do with this meeting. Matter of fact, they'll have nothing to do with this meeting, but they do have a lot to do with insight and perspective. And we want to welcome all of the things that we can do. We want to hunt the good stuff. So resiliency is important. And one of the key things about being resilient is hunting the good stuff. You're a part of that. And so we want to make sure that while we're hunting the good stuff, that all voices are able to give pause to that. So we'll be sending out a survey with 3 questions, asking for some responses, and hopefully you'll be able to give us feedback as soon as possible on these 3 questions. We look forward to seeing you. Our next meeting is Wednesday, December 2nd at 9 a.m. If you do not have the invite, if you're not on the distribution list, please make sure to reach out to Jeff Wolf or Tamar Jackson, and they will make sure you are in the room. The most important thing is being where decisions are made. Thank you for joining us in the room. Thank you for being a part of the task force. Thank you for giving us your time. Be safe, be healthy. Most importantly, be kind and love one another. Thank you for joining us, y'all. Have a great, great week. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Next time.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
A great rest of the week.
All right, Tamar, Jeff, y'all staying on?
Yeah.
Leads,
I will,
still here. If I didn't leave everybody. Let me see, who do we still have?
For 11 still here?
No.
It's on another link.
It's on another
different link.
Okay.
But Shelly,
Okay,
I do have to shut this one down.
So we're going to end. I'll talk to you later. All right. Great
Okay.
job. Bye.